Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today? What's up, M Star Media? And let's see who else. Eve. Hey, how's it going? Man, today, man, this the first person that's gonna be coming up. If it is the right person, man. I mean, I looked up the cases last night. I should put it up right now. It's gonna be a dude that shook his baby. It was like a form. I think I'm not sure if it was his baby or not, but it was he she shook yeah, damn, a 4 month old. I was I looked up the cases last night, and it kind of matches up. Hey Juliet, how's it going? But yeah, I was like, damn, that's bananas. Like why would you do that to your kid? I know kids cry and whatnot, and it could be frustrating at times, but a 4 month old, the baby's defenseless. They can't do anything. Let me pull up the thing so you guys can see it here. It should be starting up in the next minute, so I'll just read it off right now. It's a man charged by infield police with assault, risk of injury. The case involves a 4 month old, according to police. And let me get this thing up really quick here. Let me see here. All right, it's starting up now. Oh yeah, that's him. It's him. Oh yeah. See this guy here. Here we go. We got a match, right? That's him. It looks like him. The beard. It looks. The beard looks like he's definitely gone through some things. It's it's gray. So right now, wait. Let me go ahead and continue reading some of the story right here. You see, Enfield, Connecticut, a Massachusetts man was arrested Tuesdays on Tuesday on was arrested Tuesday on a
Good
one.
morning. My name is Parole Officer Dunphy, and today is Monday, January 13th, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Good morning.
I'm Ellen Zappo Sasso.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Good morning. My name is William Clingensmith, 429253.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for William Clingensmith, inmate number 429253. He is serving a sentence of 7.5 years followed by he is serving a sentence of 7.5 years followed by 7.5 years special parole for assault first. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of June 6, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the following programs. Good intentions bad choices on 7/24/19, voices on 6/29/2020, anger management on 12/21/20, and the Quinnipiac College program on 12/11/2024, and the Second Chance Health program on 12/16/2024. Utilizing a statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Clingensmith, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole.
Okay. Good morning again. I would first like to thank the Board of Pardons and Paroles for giving me this opportunity for a chance at parole, as well as a second chance at starting my life again as a changed man. In regards to my case and what happened, to this day, I am so very remorseful. I have so much regret to what I did. I am also sorry for the pain and suffering that I caused to my sons, their mother, and her family, and to my family. I only wish to take it all back. And during my time in prison, I took the opportunity to work on myself spiritually, physically, and mentally. The programs such as Voices, Anger Management, Good Intentions, Bad Choices, and Effective Fatherhood have helped me to understand what victims go through and the impact from a crime caused on them have, how to manage anger in certain situations and learn relaxation techniques, how bad choices and actions have repercussions, and how to be a better parent. Ways that I stayed out of any kind of trouble in prison are by surrounding myself with positive people, helping others by lending my ear, sticking close with other Christians, and keeping to myself most of the time by doing schoolwork and reading. Post-release, I plan on being an asset to my community by being a law-abiding citizen, helping those who are in need, and to be a positive person. I plan on continuing my education to earn a degree, attending any programs that are required of me, getting a job, being a member of a church, seeking counseling, attending any meditation classes, and more importantly, abiding by the rules and regulations of my parole officer and halfway house. I feel in order to accomplish any of my plans, I will need the support from my family and friends. To do that, I'm hoping to transfer to Pennsylvania, where the majority of my family lives, and already have a place to live at my mother's house, who is my sponsor. I will also be a support for my mom, who is still grieving the loss of my father, who passed away on November 23rd of 23. My time in Connecticut will be spent trying to reunite with my children and to prove to them, regardless of the past, that I can be a good parent to them if allowed through the courts. I felt that in my heart that I was as honest as I could be when I interviewed with the Enfield police, and I want to be as truthful and honest with you. I've lied to so many people in the past, and I've learned that lying does not get anyone anywhere. After my release, I will not take any of the time I spent in prison for granted. I feel that I have grown to be a better person with everything I have experienced in prison. Once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Clingensmith. We appreciate you putting together your opening statement for us today. We'll be asking you some questions, and then we will give you our decision about parole. It's a very short window between your parole eligibility date and your end of sentence. And I did see a correspondence about you had given some thought to waiving today's hearing. So you've chosen to go forward?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And we will begin with questioning with my panel member, Ellen Zappos.
Morning. You answered a lot of my questions in your opening statement about where you're going from here. So I want to just ask a couple of things in reference to one of the letters that we received in terms of the support that you're receiving. And this letter specifically was from your mother. In it, she referenced that you had not usually been quick to ask for help. And I think, coming out now and rebuilding your life, as you stated, that's going to be important. So can you spend a little time talking about some of the programs that you've taken that might have put you in the direction of understanding what that support looks like and how to ask for it?
I mean, the big one for me was anger management, because I have had some anger issues in the past, and it obviously lingered over into prison. But it just showed me how to contain the anger, just to really listen before I react. So I mean that program was really needed for me, and really helped me out. For Voices, like I said in my statement, it did help me to understand more of how what victims go through with how they were affected by the crime, especially with my sons. And it's just heartbreaking. You know, I took another, which I mentioned was, effective fatherhood. You know, that taught me, you know, different ways of like parenting, and, you know, how to, you know, as what the program says, to become an effective parent. And, you know, I've learned a lot from that.
Has there been any contact via letters or anything while you've been incarcerated with your children?
Not with my children, but with their mother. And
You did
that
see the
was,
letter.
yeah, right.
So we've also received letters from friends and family stating that you are going to have community support if you're able to go to Pennsylvania. What do you envision other than helping your mother? Have you looked at certain programs there? Have you looked at education? Do you have concrete ideas about what that looks like?
Honestly, I haven't looked at what like as far as jobs and like what school I'll be able to go to. You know, I've had to, you know, work out with like transportation and whatnot, but you know, between like, you know, now and whenever I'm released, you know, I will start looking into it. But I mean, I do plan on, you know, going to school and definitely getting my job. That's my, you know, first priority. Well, you know, when I get home.
Do you still have your pharmacy technician license?
No, it was suspended.
So could you just spend a minute or so telling me what your understanding is of the special parole that you have, the 7.5 years to follow, and what that means to you?
I'm not sure if I get the question. I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
whether you're in Connecticut or in Pennsylvania, you have 7.5 years of special parole.
Right.
So what does that mean to you?
Just means, you know, I'll just have extra supervision. Like, you know, I'll just have to, you know, mind my P's and Q's and, you know, just stay out of trouble and, you know, just be on a good path, you know, while I'm under special parole.
Well, that's part of it, but the other part is that they're there to support you during your period of special parole as well, to make sure that you're successful. So in terms of my first question, being able to ask for help and understanding when you need help, they're part of your frontline defense for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'll definitely, you know, suck in my pride and, you know, definitely ask for the help that I need. Like, you know, I definitely want to seek help, you know, seek counseling, you know, go to, like, as I said in my statement, you know, meditation, you know, things that will help me as long as, you know, as well as, you know, asking help from, you know, my friends and family for that support. Absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Mr. Clingensmith, we've reviewed all the documents for your file, and as I review the police report, the pre-sentence investigation, a couple of things jump out at me. One is that you seem to be frustrated for a period of time, right? It seemed like there wasn't just this one particular incident. There was a couple others that you admitted to along the way to before you were actually arrested. And then you had some troubles with your daughter. Wow. So can you think about that time frame and figure out why it was so difficult for you to recognize what was happening again and not reach out for help? Because it seems to me also that there was some good support around you and the children's mother.
I regret not getting the help that I needed. I really do. And, you know, that's just one thing I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't get the support. Like, you know, I was just, maybe it was my pride, you know, or whatever, but I just wanted to, try and do it myself. Maybe, or, maybe just the stubbornness that I have, but, I mean, I can't really answer why I didn't seek the help that I needed, but, I do realize now that I should have, sought out the support, and help that, I needed at that time. It's just something that I really regret not doing.
So you mentioned you've taken a lot of programs that I would say are very important, will be instrumental in your reacclimation to the community and associating in the community. So specifically with anger management, having taken it and given some thought about your lifestyle back then and how you conducted yourself, what would you say you've learned or skills that you've acquired to see when you start to have those feelings, whether they're frustration, overwhelming emotions of not being able to control your feelings, your anger, your physical outreach, your physical reactions. Thank you. What can you tell me about anger management that you hope to carry with you into the community?
I hope to, what like in certain situations that I've been through, like arguments and whatnot, I've been through, in prison, like I kind of took a step back before reacting and giving thought, and then, just really just talking it out with that person. That's one thing that I've learned from anger management is to just really relax, not just think before you speak and before you act. That's the biggest thing that I took away from anger management. And, that's one thing that I have been practicing, without me, blowing up and whatnot.
How do you practice that? Are there?
I'm sorry?
I said, how do you practice those skills? You said you practice them. Are there things that happen that you feel like you're utilizing the skills, or do you do some visualization to help you walk through the steps?
Yeah. There's steps that I take, like I said, after before I get heated up, I'll just take a moment to, relax, take some deep breaths, think about what I'm going to say, and, just try and, just kind of, I'm sorry, just talk it over with that person, in a more peaceable manner, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'm sure there's opportunities to practice the skills in the facility. I'm sure there is events that occur that you need to not respond to, not react to. But we'll see what happens when you get to the community, right? It'll be a little bit different.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'll pick up on where you left off with my colleague about anger. You started by saying that it's been big for you in the past. And I'm wondering if either any of the programs have helped you tap into what's behind your anger.
Like you're saying, like how the programs have helped me with
I'm looking for any kind of insight you have into why anger has been, as you said, big for you in the past.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question.
Because usually anger is a more comfortable feeling than whatever else is underneath it. And so people will react in anger and not deal with what the discomfort is behind the anger.
Okay. Man,
Okay, well, you know, if you don't know, you don't know, but I would encourage you. It's something you need to explore because, you know, if you unpack it, then it doesn't have the power and it doesn't come roaring back every time you start to feel anger, all the unresolved stuff, right?
right. Yeah.
So, Mr. Clingensmith, you've done quite well during this period of incarceration. You're first, no disciplinary issues. You've done a couple of different vocational programs, as well as the programs on your OAP, and you've held a variety of jobs there in the facility. So, you know, I want to mention that because you should be recognized for the efforts, and you have no prior criminal history, though there was a similar incident, as my colleague mentioned, with your daughter. So, you know, we're looking at the letter from your ex-wife. It sounds like you were planning or already have terminated your parental rights to your sons. Is that, where do things stand with that?
No, I haven't terminated my parental rights. I mean, there were, I did go to a hearing to terminate my parental rights, but then at that hearing, I changed my mind, you know, to not go through with it.
Okay. And have your sons been adopted by your wife's new husband?
I'm not aware of her marital status, right?
Okay, because you had indicated in the interview with the parole officer that you thought your sons might have a different last name now.
Well, yeah, that was my ex-wife's parents' name. Yeah, dates. Yeah.
And is that the case?
That's the case.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry.
How do you feel about that?
I feel fine about it. You know, I don't have any anger. You know, yeah, I feel good about it. I'm okay with it.
I was pleased to hear you say that you would go through the courts if you want to reestablish a relationship with your sons. They live here in Connecticut?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you do not have parental rights to your daughter, correct?
Correct.
She's permanently disabled?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you have information on how your son is doing?
I don't.
So do you remember the situation in which your son was so tragically harmed?
Unfortunately.
Okay. Do you know what was going on for you at the time?
You know, at the time, like my ex-wife went to work before me, so I had that, you know, a little bit of time, which was good. You know, with me just, you know, taking care of my sons with no incidents. But then when I started going back to work, I was working part-time and full-time job, and then I was going to school for nursing. So, you know, like I just felt like overwhelmed, you know, at that time, and plus trying to, you know, be there financially, you know, and supporting my wife, you know, with taking care of my son. So, you know, I just felt that I was just like, I felt overwhelmed, you know, I felt stressed, you know, then taking and all of that.
you did take a stress management class, correct? There,
Correct.
Carl Robinson, you just finished it last month.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So hopefully you have some more tools in your toolbox for, stress is a part of being an adult. We live with it, and cope as best we can every day. And hopefully not with these kind of outcomes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want to go back to the anger management. You took that program during COVID, so you just did that through paperwork in your cell?
No, actually, I think it was before COVID.
No, it was 2020, and it was in your cell.
What?
So I'm thinking
Oh,
that perhaps.
yes, I'm sorry. It was a different, okay, you're right.
Okay. Thinking perhaps, that might be something, you have 7.5 years of special parole, that might be something helpful for you to do in the community. You talked about being a law-abiding citizen. You said have a job, go to church, counseling. What else does a law-abiding citizen look like to you?
Just really, staying out of trouble, not having any police contact. And just being, just a good citizen, for the community.
Well, I encourage you to think more expansively about that.
Okay.
Because, given the nature of your crime, it would be really positive for you to give back, find ways to volunteer, contribute your time to society. Being a registered voter, paying your taxes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any life goals? I know you've been studying business education.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that, I can get back into, taking my prereqs for nursing, if I'm able to, but, I want, yeah, definitely.
Whether your criminal history will interfere with a nursing degree?
I haven't yet. I do have some resources that I can, look into to see if, I'll be able to. If not, I would like to get back into pharmacy, definitely, since I have that experience. But, I do want.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh,
you do want one?
and I definitely, I want to get my associate's degree and, and then continue on with there.
Do you have access to a tablet there in the facility?
Yes, we do.
Because you're not eligible for release until June. So you've got a lot of months ahead of you that you could be doing things to prepare yourself. And I would encourage you to research, licensing for, RN, for pharmacy technician, because there may be a need for you to have a plan B. Because this, felony conviction might be a stumbling block for you in some of the pursuits that you aspire to. So you're not currently in a relationship?
I am not.
So have you given any thought to what you're going to tell your next partner about your crime?
Yeah, I have. I'm just going to be honest and forthcoming. If instead of just like her bringing it up or whatever, I'm just going to be forthcoming and honest, and
Did Jennifer
let that
know about
person
your
know.
daughter?
She did.
Do you think you'll have additional children?
No.
I'm glad that you at least took the circle of security, because if you do want to be in your children's lives, you know, parenting skills, they're not innate. We have to develop them. So, all right, well, my sympathies on the death of your father while you've been incarcerated, and I wish you much success going forward. Thanks for talking with me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Mr. Clingensmith, we do not have victim input this morning, so we will go right into deliberation and then we'll give you our decision late back.
Okay. All right.
That was Sassoon.
Yes, so I believe that with no prior criminal history and a low risk to recidivate, I'm looking at Mr. Clingensmith this morning as someone who has used his period of incarceration effectively. He's pursued education, vocational opportunities. He has not incurred any disciplinary reports. I believe he's taken relevant programming, including anger management, which we've talked a lot about this morning, voices, the good intentions. He's held jobs successfully. He's taken other relevant programs like the stress management and the effective fatherhood program he referenced. His request is to transfer to his mother's house in Pennsylvania. And while some of the details are still a little vague, he plans on continuing his education, obtaining a job, and he has committed to additional growth and counseling that he says he knows he needs. There does appear to be a fair share of community support and family support in Pennsylvania. And based on those factors, his low risk, I would recommend a grant today.
Thank you for that. So I agree with everything that's already been stated in terms of granting early release, and which will be followed by special parole, 7.5 years. As already stated, Mr. Clingensmith has done a number of programs which we would want him to do to address his risky needs. Does score low, has no prior criminal history, so he has no convictions, and does have quite a bit of support of the community, as evidenced by letters that have been provided, and his mother's agreement to be a sponsor, should he be allowed to relocate to Pennsylvania. So I would also be in favor of granting his parole today. Ms. Turner?
I have Mr. Clingensmith granted.
And conditions? Is that?
The only one that I have as a absolute is the interstate to Pennsylvania.
Okay. I also had Halfway House because it will take a little bit of time for them to investigate a mental health evaluation and treatment. At state plan, as you stated, to Pennsylvania, and I had communities treatment for anger management. No contact with the victims in this case. GC and LC. Anything else, Ms. Turner?
And I had no contact with minors without the M's permission.
I don't think we can impose that condition. It's not really.
It's directly related.
I mean, that's a. No, I would rather leave it to the field to make a decision about whether or not they can. It's part of. It's an offense, and he's going to at some point contact. He'll approach the court about prior contact with his children. I don't know if that's a reasonable statement in terms of his. I mean, we'll give him close it, I suppose, if you think it's appropriate. Not 100% on board with it. Is that?
It's without the M's permission, so it's not an absolute.
Typically apply it to cases such as this. In the matter of
tantamount to child abuse.
I'm not disputing what the underlying factors are at all, and although there's no convictions, there is prior history. So I'm not disputing that at all. In the matter of William Clingensmith, inmate number 429, 253. This motion to grant parole on or after June 6, 2025, with the following stipulations. Halfway house placement as needed, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed appropriate, out-of-state plan to Pennsylvania, community-based treatment for anger management, and community-based and no contact with minors without PO's permission, no contact with the victims GC and LC. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
All right, Mr. Clingensmith, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
This concludes the hearing for William Clingensmith, inmate number 429253. You're all set, sir.
All right, thank you.
Case, did you see that? Yeah, probably.
All right. So I want to go ahead and welcome everybody that's tuning in. Hopefully you guys could hear me a little bit better. So let's see. So I was asked a question: how much time has he done? So it looks like he picked up this case back in like 2018. So at this point, he would already be down. Let me see, 2 plus like about 7 years, right? 6-7 years, depending on exactly, because it says February 15, 2018. So 6 years going on to the 7th year. Let me see over here. Definitely, I was a bit shocked, when I read that, when I read that headline right there. Let me see. True Seeker. Thank you. You have a collect call from. I didn't realize he was a Springfield resident working with DCF. I'm sick to my stomach. I work alongside as well in the group homes. However, I thought he was
Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Dunkley, and today is Monday, January 13th, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
I'm Ellen Zappa.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
My name is George W. Henry, inmate number 309763.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for George Henry, inmate number 309763. He is serving a sentence of 7 years, suspended after 3 years, followed by 3 years of probation for criminal possession of a firearm and possession of intent to sell. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 1st, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed voices on September 10th, 2024. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Henry, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, first to commence, I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to express myself and why I should be released in the community. Honestly, I feel I needed this time to sit and reevaluate myself on my decisions I've been making that led me to being incarcerated. I've been let down. I've let my family down. I've been selfish with my actions. I disappointed my kids and my family, especially my daughters who fell victim from my actions. And those are the ones who suffered and hurt the most. While being incarcerated, I have signed up for Voices and NA and AA programs, even though I wasn't receiving any credit. I felt that that would help me with my incarceration. I signed up for vocational schools. I applied for a janitor job and trying to make my time valuable while I'm here. The programs I applied it to my rehabilitation process. I learned in Voices that there's also victims in all crimes committed, even low offender crimes. I learned that there are different kinds of abuse other than physical abuse, financial, there's verbal abuse and mental abuse. I came up with a plan of, if I was granted parole, I came up with a plan of keeping me from making bad decisions, reoffending, and joining the wrong crowd, and falling back in the same actions that caused me to be incarcerated. I worked on my online restaurant business. I have an employment lined up upon my release. And also I have took the time out and reevaluate, like I've lost out being a father. That's mostly what I reflected on. Like I let down my family. It's been rough, like being away from my kids. And when I talk to my kids every day, I just felt like I haven't hold up the job of being a father, because I showed them like going to jail is like a big letdown, and I just wanted the opportunity to show them that like I could change and I could be a successful citizen in the community. And I take full responsibility for my actions for being in jail. The drugs I sold, the gun I purchased was totally on me. I blame me and no one else. I just want to apologize to the community and my family for letting them down, knowing I could have done better and I knew better.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I appreciate you putting together a statement like that. It's good to hear what you're thinking, how you spent your time. We're going to ask you some questions, and then we'll make the decision about parole at the end. Deliberation. I just, your last words were, what were they? You let people down, you're disappointed. I have to say, in reviewing your file, I felt the same way. Yet you had a nice chunk of time where you were living in the community and, must have been doing okay, 2012 to 2017. They weren't really doing it. And then things they seemed to have started to fall apart again.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that all about? Why do you think you fell back into this old habit of selling drugs and carrying guns?
Well, it started off when I lost my employment in 2015. So I just, I fell back in the same crowd, the same friends, and I just started making bad decisions all over again.
You had some decent work history. Why couldn't you find another job?
With my record I have from past 2002, it's hard getting a decent job with decent pay with a felony like that on my record.
I know it's difficult. Around those times, I was working in the community in reentry. We had a lot of people find jobs. Maybe it's not your dream job, maybe it's not the perfect job, but it's a job that pays the bills.
Yes,
right? Maybe you need two jobs. You had two small children at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that, from my perspective, I would say maybe you didn't put the effort into it that was needed.
I agree with you. I agree. I didn't. I chose the easy way out. I chose the. Like again, it's all about decision making. I felt I have two kids and I have to provide for them. So I chose the wrong path. I chose the easy way out. I take all accountability on that note.
I mean, it's clear through the pre-sentence report, through your discussions with parole, and the transcripts, you do take responsibility.
Yeah.
You do sort of hedge a bit about the drugs that you were arrested with. I get the impression that, you think being arrested with marijuana is less of a crime, maybe, or less egregious than being arrested with heavier drugs like cocaine, which is what they did find in your house. I know you dispute it, and I know you pled under the Alford Doctrine, so I'm sure it sounds like there was some, agree to disagree there.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going by what I've read in the warrants and what they seized at the time of the arrest.
Okay, honestly, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Honestly, I took a plea on that, but I'm gonna be truthful with you. I don't mess with hard drugs. I stay away from that. I don't mess with hard drugs. I didn't know what all that was about, but
Well, and I'm
I landed myself in that position, so I got to take what comes with it. At the end of the day, I was still doing something illegal, so I gotta, I gotta take full responsibility on what my case upholds. So,
responsibility. So I did read at various points that you took responsibility for the marijuana, you denied having the cocaine, and I did see that you pled under the Alford plea. So I do think that there was some give and take there at the time of the plea.
Yes, ma'am.
My point of all of that, though, is drugs are drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Whether you're selling large amounts of marijuana like you were, or cocaine or heroin, they're all drugs, and they all affect people's lives, ruin people's lives, regardless of what they are.
Yes, ma'am.
Different effects. And the firearm had the serial number scratched off.
With that, I didn't do it personally when I purchased the firearm. That's how it came. But again, I have to take accountability because it's in my possession. So that's how when I purchased it from who I purchased it from, that's how it came. I didn't physically do it myself, but I take full responsibility for it. It's in my possession, so I'm not gonna point the finger at nobody else.
Right, and I pointed out because if that's done so the gun can't be traced, usually because they're stolen, you obtained it illegally, because you have a conviction for a gun, so you know.
Yes.
And you've had a couple of violations. You are a prohibited person.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have purchased it, but due to the circumstances that happened, prior to that, I knew it was wrong. I don't have a permit, or I don't have a clean record to purchase one, so I knew it was wrong. But at the time, I just felt angry. I felt confused, frustrated, and I felt I felt I had to protect myself, but it was wrong all around. The way I was thinking, my thinking pattern was totally wrong all around, at the time. So there's no excuse. I really have no excuse for that, but just taking responsibility.
Right, and all anger, frustration, confusion, those are all the reasons you shouldn't have a firearm. Even if you were allowed to carry one, those would be all the wrong reasons to have a firearm.
Yeah.
Right, that's when they're used inappropriately, to create disaster and harm. And the other thing that which jumps out to me about this case, which I don't want to keep saying how disappointing it was to read, but it sounds like your girlfriend was very supportive. You had your girls quite a bit.
Yes,
You had good relationships with their mother. To me, it seemed like a nice home life. You guys communicating and parenting well.
Yeah.
good relationships. So, this.
Yeah, I pick my kids up every day. I'm very involved in their life. I go to parent teacher. I'm trying to be the best father, I can at the time, and again, I felt I needed this year and a half or this time to again reevaluate my decisions, especially because those are the ones who matter the most to me is my girls, and being away from them is like, I have no words to explain how I feel about that, especially when I talk to them every day. They ask me when I'm coming home, when is this gonna end? And I tell them I apologize to them every day. It's my fault that I'm here. I could have done better. I could have chose a better route, but hopefully when I come out, I could show the community and my family that I could do a total of 360.
We can be hopeful, but you have the ability to make that happen.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Hope is good, but you do have the ability to make that happen, to live a better life. You said you were going to NA and AA while you were at the facility. How often do you go?
I go as Mondays is AA and Thursdays is NA. I go each session. I haven't been going for the past few months, but I attended for a good 2 to 3 months, and hearing people's testimony and trials and tribulations, I'm like, wow, it kind of opened up and I applied it to my life, and I'm like, wow, people really have it bad sometimes, and some people that I've come encounter with and hear their stories, like, wow, I really could have did better than, because they had a bad hand dealt to them, and they overcome that. So I'm like, damn, well, I could get myself back into the community and overcome my trials and tribulations and my decision making, and I applied it to my time being here, and I felt I needed to hear those certain people's stories to have an eye opener for me, and I felt it helped me a lot.
Right. Well, there's two sides to that coin. Is one, you're listening to the stories for the people that you were selling drugs to, right? The people that struggle with addiction in the community, and you're one of those people helping to fuel that their addiction and that chaotic lifestyle, that dysfunctional lifestyle that they're living. But the other thing is, you were using marijuana and alcohol in the community?
Not alcohol like that, but marijuana, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, I'm wondering, were you able to recognize yourself in any of that? Because marijuana is a drug. It inhibits people's ability to make good decisions, be productive.
That's what I said. I even stood up and I told him, I have a problem with smoking marijuana frequently on a daily basis, and using any type of drug is you have an addiction or a problem. I know in my head I'm thinking, I'm just smoking marijuana, it's nothing, I can control it. But me hearing what's going on, I was totally wrong. That's why I said I used it as an eye opener. Like, wow, using marijuana or doing cocaine or doing heroin, it ain't different categories. It's drugs is drugs, like you said. So it's like, it definitely was an eye opener.
You did the Voices program, which is a good program to do.
Yes, ma'am.
You've gotten something from it.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, you were unable to get into addiction services. Have you had a job at the facility?
Yes. I had an AM janitor's job, and as you can see, I had prior to that, I had a Class B ticket. I had a confrontation with with one of the lieutenants. She was trying to blame me for a stinger or a pot, and I was just explaining to her that it wasn't mine. You got the wrong. It was by my bunk area, but it wasn't mine. And me and her, she was like, just, it was kind of a little like argumentative. I should have just, just take the situation, but I was just trying to plead my case and plead my story, and she wasn't hearing it. So I ended up getting the Class B, and she moved me from the unit. So I lost that janitor's job. But I reapplied, talked to the counselor, and he put me on the list for another one. Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to your 2 disciplinary reports. I mean, you explained the first one that you had for the contraband causing disruption. And then you had a fighting ticket about a year ago. How does, you're an older guy.
Yeah.
I would think you would want to be staying out of the nonsense. How do you get into a fight?
That was difficult. I was trying to avoid it, but I was being attacked by several inmates, so I had to defend myself. Or what can I do in that situation? I try to be the bigger person. I'm not violent. I'm not a person that goes out looking for trouble or try to be in the mix of everything. I stay to myself. I try to have a non-disciplinary time being here, but I had a confrontation with one guy, and a couple other guys joined in. I was by myself. I had to, like I felt my back was against the wall, so I had to defend myself.
It's kind of a common thread. You lose your job, you feel like your back is against the wall, so you start selling drugs, you're getting in conflicts at the facility when you should really be setting the example at the facility. You're a little older, you got time in the community where you didn't have any problems.
No.
I go back to.
Well, the fighting ticket happened first, and then after that, it was, I don't have, I try to be, trust me, I talk to other inmates, I encourage them, I tell them to come down to NAAA, people come to me and talk to me, vent to me, I try to give them the best solution, I try to be, a positive role model in the facility, in the unit. I don't be somebody have an issue or somebody have a confrontation. I try to, tell them to think about it before you act. If you got like parole or any type of community release, like, think about your family, think about your future. Like, I try to be that positive role model. I try to help other inmates too, make a good transition too. I don't be, encouraging that negative energy at all,
It has been a year since you've had any troubles, so I do understand that. You have good support in the community. You want to release and live with your father, and there's a letter in there for you to have a job at Pizzuto's.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. My wife spoke to the warehouse manager, and he said, well, upon his release, tell him to, fill out the application, then call him. So it's a guaranteed job. I have my online restaurant business. I had started before incarceration, and I want to keep it up when I get out. I have my father. He's not doing too well. I just want to be there. I want to be there for my kids. My daughter is in the middle of her junior year. She's about to graduate next year. I want to be there for that. She needs her father to be there. I just want to show them, like, everybody makes mistakes, but they could change and transition. Like, And as you can see, like my record, I'm not a violent person. I'm not trying to come to jail my whole life. Like, yeah, when I was young, I made bad decisions. I was wrapped up in the wrong crowd. But as I got older, I see, like, when I had my first daughter, I was like, yo, I got to change. I got to be in my kid's life. I don't want to, my daughter's raised without a father or just one parent. Like, I don't want them to be a part of that type of, that lifestyle. So I try, you know, I'm not perfect. I try to be the best father I could, be the best person in the community, but you know, again, it's just all wrong decision making. And you know,
I mean, Mr. Henry, you were raised in a single parent home. You know, your father did a, you know, you say it. He did a great job.
yes,
Right?
Yeah.
You know, he worked hard, set a good example.
yes, and that's my main.
And he's still helping you out by offering and agreeing to sponsor you.
Yes, ma'am, and that's my major letdown, especially because I'm family orientated, man. You know, and I love my family, and I love my kids, and this incarceration really did something to me. Like I have to get out there and I have to do better. It ain't I'm gonna try or I hope. I have to. It's a must to me. I tell myself it's a must because I'm not making my daughters raised like in a single parent home. Like I'm not gonna make them follow the same footsteps I followed, like I was in. So I just had.
It
Go ahead,
sounds
go
to
ahead.
me like your girlfriend and their mother is holding down the fort out there. You know, raising your children. And you know, I would say to you, you know, hope is not a strategy. You need to have a plan to move forward in a productive way. And it's clear that you can do it. You know, why you step back into selling drugs is kind of crazy. And getting a job at the Zudos is a good get.
And that's not. I'm not gonna stop. That's not where I'm stopping. That's just to get my foot on the ground, just to get me going, have some income, get me out the way. But I'm gonna aim higher. I'm gonna aim higher for that than just a job at Bazzuto's. I got a whole plan. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I said Bazzuto's is a good place to work.
Yes, they got good benefits. Yes, you could, you know, you could rise in the ranks and move up the chain. But
and they give opportunity to individuals like yourself who come out and need a break. You know, need someone to give them take that chance.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'm
grateful for that. I'm grateful. I told my girlfriend that I appreciate her putting in the legwork and the footwork to make sure I have work when I get out. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing I would say about that is that she put herself out there.
Yes, ma'am.
She's been working there for a while, so she put herself out there vouching for you.
Yes, ma'am.
As did the supervisor that wrote the letter. So you have some goals to go back to school, fix your driver's license.
Yes, ma'am.
What else do you think would be helpful for you to be successful in the community?
I feel I should attend, like I should continue certain programs I attended in here out there to keep me on the right track, to keep that information in my head, like beat it in my head so I won't, because like you pointed out, I had a good gap of where I was doing good and then I fall right back into the same thing. I felt I was straight away from the positive. So I feel I should like still attend certain programs, still attend certain things in the community to keep me on the right track, keep me thinking making the right decisions.
All right, there's a lot of reentry programs that provide support, right? Not
Yes.
just job skills, but just everyday life skills. Or,
Yes.
you know, people
Yes.
to kind of bounce things off of.
Yeah, that's when I was talking to my brother. Oh man, I forgot my brother is my younger brother is like one of my, like, it might sound funny, but I look up to him because right now he's about to graduate Central he went for mechanical engineering, and he's such a smart young man. Like, I'm like, wow, like, and when he went to the same high school I went to, and he was all state, he was an athlete, and I was the total opposite. And I'm like, if I would have followed the path he did, I would have been not in this situation right now. And he kind of inspired me a little bit. Like, he about to be a college graduate. He got an internship at Pratt and Whitney, and I'm like, bro, I'm so proud of him and what he's doing. And I told him, like, bro, like, it's I feel bad because I could have been that, and the transition he took, I'm like, I should have been on that path. But at the end of the day, he inspired me to do better with myself. So that's why when I get out, I probably, like, he make me want to go to college. I'm 39. I'm like, if you could do it, bro, I could do it on the same scale too. So I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing in jail right now. Like, and like you said, my father didn't raise me like that. He always preached education. He said, you're not going to be nothing without education. Like, leave the streets alone. And like again, I was following the wrong crowd, making the wrong decisions. I was very rebellious. I wasn't listening, and he told me my future. He said, you don't listen, you don't go to school and be positive. He said, it's only one road. You're either going to be in jail or you're going to be in the casket. And he was right. You know, like this, I've been repeatedly coming to jail. I try to change, but again, I started falling back in the same transition again. And I just want to prove this time, like, I could really do that. I have to, because I can't come back to jail. I can't distance myself from my kids and my family again. Like, this was it. This was very, like, hurtful, and they suffered a lot.
Well, you know, the sentences I'm looking at your criminal history, the sentences are longer and longer, right?
Yeah.
So when you were violated on the gun charge in 2010, you got 18 months. Now you're doing 3 years. If you're back again, it'll probably be 5 years, 10 years. You get another gun charge. The ATF might pick the case up, and then you're going to federal prison. I mean, that those are really your options at this point.
And honestly,
but anyways,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, Mr. Henry, I hear change. I hear you
Yes,
thinking in a mature way that a 39-year-old father of two should be thinking. Somebody who is well-spoken, obviously able to hold down a job. There's no reason why you can't work a regular, legitimate employment.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and be a productive member of the community. There is just no reason for it. So I leave you with, you know, if you review your criminal history, you'll see where this is going.
And I want my criminal history to stop here. I want to be. I am gonna stay out of trouble, and I'm going for a pardon. I'm going for a pardon. I don't even want this on my record.
One step at a time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one step at a time. And I think they probably talk about that in so much more elegantly in NA and AA, and it applies to life in general.
Yes, ma'am.
The slower you go with the steps, the stronger the steps are.
Yeah, you're right.
One step at a time. All right, thank you, Mr. Henry. Ms. Turner?
So, Mr. Henry, I was listening very carefully as you spoke with my colleague, and, you know, it really does appear that you want better for yourself.
Yes,
But I'm
ma'am.
going to remind you of something. Back in 2007, when you got your first gun conviction, you told
Yes, ma'am.
probation that you were done with the streets.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, it is a journey. You can't compare yourself to your brother. You're two different people with two different life stories
Yeah.
with some commonalities, but you know, there's a reason that you've taken this journey, and I really do hope that you will do better for yourself and for your kids. You know, when you look at it, sir, your first conviction was in 2003. You were sentenced for these crimes in 2023. That means you have a 20-year criminal history and you're only 39.
Yes, ma'am.
So that should give you some pause. You know, something more to reflect on, as you said, reevaluating yourself. When you were sentenced for the gun charge back in 2007, I don't believe the state had the deadly weapon offender registry. But you, with this case, now have to appear on that registry for 5 years.
Yes,
Has
ma'am.
anybody explained the registry to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's job number one when you walk out of the facility, is you get yourself to the state police and you take care of that. Because
Yes, ma'am.
you need to understand, sir, that if you violate that obligation, you could serve another 5 years in prison. And you're gonna be
Yes.
going out, you know, late 40s. I mean,
I'm not trying to violate that statute of violation
but
or
it's not about
honestly,
trying, it's about upholding the obligation.
yes, ma'am.
It's a different way of thinking about it.
Yes, ma'am. Honestly,
That's the way of holding yourself accountable.
yeah. For I don't even like guns. I'm not a violent person.
Well,
I don't try to inflict harm on other people or anything.
So tell me, when you got robbed, why didn't you report it to the police instead of going out and picking up a firearm? You knew who robbed you?
No, he had a mask on.
Okay. Did he rob you because you were a drug dealer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that speaks volumes. So how long were you a morning janitor in the facility?
No longer than a month. I just
So what
before
were you
the
earning as a janitor?
huh?
What were you earning? What did they pay you as a janitor?
I think it's $14.60 every 2 weeks.
There in the facility?
Yeah,
$14?
yeah. I think it's $1 a day.
All right, and minimum wage now in Connecticut is bigger than that. So there might be a process in this journey, Mr. Henry, where you just have to humble yourself and take a minimum wage job.
No, I have no problem doing that.
But I'm saying it, like, if you're working there in the facility for, you know, dimes a day,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, keep that in mind when you look at job ads and you think that they're just not good enough for you.
Yeah, if I could
No,
work
what do you-
with that. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's the delay in the system. So What do you know about parole?
I know that your parole is very strict, that you have to follow the guidelines on your stipulation that you stipulated to follow. You gotta uphold the job. You gotta
All that sounds like probation too, but parole is different than probation. Can I talk to you about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you're right. Parole is a higher level of oversight, but it's not just about holding you accountable. It's about supporting you being successful in the community.
Yes,
They don't
ma'am.
want you violating. They don't want you coming back to prison. They have access to programs and services that can help you, but you have to build a relationship with your parole officer and talk to them, especially when you're starting to struggle.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're starting to worry about your job or housing, talk to your parole officer. I know you want to go live with your dad, but you're a grown man, and if things start to get tense, talk to your parole officer. They can help you with programs and services, stuff that you might not even know about.
Yes, and I'm willing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm glad to hear that you're willing. You've done well on community supervision in the past.
Yes.
But this would afford you, if you were granted today, about a year of discretionary parole before you start 3 years of probation. And I think it could be a good stabilizing force for you, but not if you're going to waste everybody's time and spend it avoiding being accountable to your parole officer. And you need to understand that the difference is that parole officers have arrest powers.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you violate the conditions of your parole, you're brought back to the facility. And you have 4 years of this sentence over your head, so you could be made to serve those 4 years if you violate. Okay?
I'm not trying to do another day, man.
I know you're not trying to, but you have to plan to do better. So, I'm glad to hear that your sponsor is in Torrington. I think it's good for you to get out of Waterbury because you are a known drug dealer there. All of your convictions are out of Waterbury.
Yes,
So,
as my father. Yeah, my father. When I spoken to my father, he said you need to leave that city alone and turn over a new leaf and get away from what keep drawing you back into the same situations. Like he said, just leave it alone, come live with me.
Okay, but I'm not sure that it's Waterbury drawing you back in. I think it's you making the choice to take the easy road.
Yeah.
And you selling drugs to other people, their kids are harmed. And you're trying to do it to support your own kids. So it's just bad karma all the way around because, you're putting out bad energy in the choices that you're making. And it's that whole good intentions, bad choices, right? You're trying to help your kids, but you're harming society. When your father was interviewed for the pre-sentence investigation, he said about you that you're a brilliant kid, but he couldn't get you to see your own worth.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you can find a way to see your worth, even if it's through the eyes of your kids. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. Do you need a minute?
No, I'm all right.
To me, that statement is a statement of love. He just wants better for you. And he sees that you get in your own way. So I did read, as you told the parole officer, that you want to apply for a pardon at the age of 45.
Yes, ma'am.
So that, you got to finish your probation before you apply. But the one thing, if somebody, we all sit on those panels and review those applications, it's really important that somebody such as yourself, who's been causing all kinds of harm out in the community with the crimes that you've committed, is giving back. So you need to think about ways that you can volunteer, you can help other people in your community as a way of making amends, right? Why'd you stop going to AA and NA in the facility?
I got those infractions, and from certain situations that's what's happening out in the community with my family, I kind of got discouraged.
But that's when you need that recovery community the most.
Yeah.
When you're struggling. So you've mentioned a couple of times this online restaurant. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Look at your whole face just lit up.
I got this because I like my other hobby. I like cooking. I'm a good cook, so I'm gonna try to apply that to turn it into a business. I got this restaurant called Little Jamaica that I'm gonna be cooking American and West Indian cuisine. So
does that restaurant exist now?
No, I did a test run before when I was on 24-hour confinement, when I was out on bond, when I was fighting my case, and I did it through like Facebook and Instagram, and it was going good. So I did like a little test run to see how.
Cooking out of your own kitchen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a CertSafe certificate?
I got that. I got it right here, written down on all the need to do list for my business. I got a safe serve. I got a culinary. I need the vendors, and I got equipment. I got equipment. I need like gourmet warmers. I need
So you have a concept of a business plan.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. And just remind you what my colleague just said to you, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Don't get so ahead of yourself. You could really put away some solid savings working at Basuto's.
Yeah.
And continue to develop your plan.
Yes, ma'am. I was going to utilize the job to help me buy equipment and to help me get the LLC, because I know I got to go to City Hall and get my tax ID and all of that going. But
have you ever worked at, gone to a reentry center?
Yes, I think it's on Bishop Street in Waterbury, the reentry center. Yeah, I know where it's at.
People there that are going to be able to help you start a business the right way.
Yeah, and I told my brother that's the first one of the first steps of me, other than working. That's one of the first places I'm going when I get out. Is I'm going to the reentry center. I'm trying to get my OSHA 10, my OSHA 30, whatever training and job skills I need to get a better job or to move up the scale. That's what I'm aiming for.
When we look at those pardons applications, we're looking for stability. So a lot of frequent job changes doesn't look stable. It doesn't look stable to your next employer either. If you're, changing jobs every 4 to 6 months. So consider the reality of what you have, you can make work.
Yes, ma'am.
My last question, Mr. Henry, do you feel like you at 39 years of age are able to ask for help when you need it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not too proud or have a pride issue. I will, like you said, like I would love to work with my parole officer. Any type of help he could provide or steer me in the right direction, point me. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to transition over.
And your parole officer could be a woman. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
So we've learned a lot about you during this interview, and you definitely presented differently than you do on paper, which is a good thing, because as my colleagues have stated, there's a lot of serious issues here. And I know that you identified yourself as nonviolent, but we've had drugs, we've had guns, we have, ammo, we have live rounds. And, from a public safety aspect, one of the things that we struggle with is, are you going to re-enter society and the community, and are you going to pose a risk to the community as a whole? So we've talked about your father, we've talked about touring, but your significant other and your daughters, where are they?
Their residence is in Waterbury.
Okay, so I have some concerns about, that piece of it. And again, I don't want to make this a negative line of questioning, but when we meet people, as we're talking to you, we've had, possession with intent to sell. We've had people who have had drugs in their car during a car stop. What you had was literally a drug enterprise where dozens of items were inventoried when they raided your house and your car. And it wasn't just the Waterbury Police Department. There was the Gang Task Force, there was Vice and Intelligence Division, there was the FBI's Northern Connecticut Gang Task Force, there were state police. So that's a huge amount of public resources to handle what is a risk to the community. And my colleagues have talked about the drugs that are in Waterbury. I am sure you're aware that this is a serious problem here. So just by changing your zip code from here to Torrington, but still having connections here, I need to feel confident that you're on the right path. And throughout what we've read, there's been these glimpses of great things that you're doing. I do believe that you're a good dad. I believe that you're probably a good significant other and a good son and a supportive brother. But then there's these drop-offs. You've had non-compliance issues with like anger management when you were at Catholic Charities a decade ago. The NA and the AA issues of I went, then I didn't go. And so to me, the best analogy that I can make for you is that it appears that you're driving a really nice car through a storm and you're not using your windshield wipers. And sometimes it makes you not know where to go, where to take a turn off, or where to ask for help. And I see all of these really good pieces. And the business that you talked about is really important because those have really picked up with popularity in the last 3 years since COVID. There's been a lot of changes in state laws about what's called the cottage industry business, typically run out of a home or as a co-op. And I would encourage you to use your time based on wherever you're going to settle, whether it's Waterbury or Torrington. There's different rules. There's different rules within different health districts. That's a really positive use of your time to create and flesh out that business plan. But also to think about, the volunteer opportunities, sharing your talent, culinary or otherwise, with the community. Because I do believe you owe the community a debt based on the activity that has occurred. But I'm going to echo what's been said. You have a lot of priorities. You have family priorities with an older father. You have 2 daughters that you want to be in their life. You have to get a job. you have a relationship that I'm sure you want to keep, I really encourage you to become a list maker, because there's a lot of things happening here. And it seems to me that your success is going to be based on your commitment to that list and those goals, and not just having them all over the place. We want you to be successful, but all of these pieces are like having a bunch of balls in the air, and we don't want to watch them drop. And that's on you, and what you're going to take out of this period of incarceration, and what you're going to bring back to the community in doing so. So I do wish you some very good luck with all of your different endeavors. I think you have the beginnings of something that could really set you on a good path for the rest of your life.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. So, Mr. Henry, we are all done with our question portion of the hearing. We'll deliberate and give you our response, our decision in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate
You're welcome. So you can just sit there. So Mr. Henry, I think we've covered a lot of ground, Mr. Henry. The charges, I think he has an appreciation of the seriousness of them. It's his second gun charge. He has 3 years of probation to follow this sentence. If he would be granted parole today, it would be roughly 18 months, give or take a couple of weeks. He does have support in the community, has a sponsor, has a job. We did have a letter of support from his significant other. He's done the Voices program. He wasn't able to do some of the other programs on his OAP, which is unfortunate. Although he did voluntarily for a period of time participate in NA and AA. We talked about his disciplinary tickets. The last one was a year ago. So there's
July. July was causing construction.
Okay, so I was looking at it right hand backwards, okay. So about 6 months ago then. So there's a shorter period of.
Yeah.
He does have a solid plan and some goals. So based on what I'm hearing today, I do see evidence of offender change. And I would be willing to grant Mr. Henry today. Ms. Turner?
I also am willing to grant, I see a lot of potential in Mr. Henry, and I think he understands the different ways that he gets in his own way, and I think he's genuine in his expression that he wants more for himself, for his family. I think a period of discretionary parole as he transitions could make all the difference.
Could be a benefit. Okay, and conditions, I had standard conditions.
I didn't have anything to add.
Okay. And I was up and down because I was just confirming Mr. Henry's earliest parole eligibility date, which is February 1st, 2025. All right, so in the matter of George Henry, 309763, with a motion to grant parole on or after February 1st, 2025, with general parole stipulations. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Henry. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Go out and do all those things you said you would do.
I will. I won't.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. I won't let you guys down. I appreciate you.
Good luck.
Don't let yourself down.
Thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
This concludes the hearing for George Henry, inmate number 309763.
All right, so we're waiting for the next individual to come up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up his case. I looked it up last night, and I'll attach it up to the screen. I'm also running another stream from for Judge Boyd out of Baxter, or not Baxter, Bear County. in Texas. If you're interested in
Morning.
watching those type of hearings, I'm running it alongside this stream also.
Mr. Miessau, just give us 1 second. Just remain quiet, okay?
No problem, thank you.
We are back on the record for inmate William Clingensmith, inmate number 429253.
So just for clarification purposes, for inmate Clingensmith 429253, the conditions imposed for discretionary parole will carry over to his 7.5-year special parole term.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Dunphy. Today is Monday, January 13th, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
I'm Ellen Zappo Sasser.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Also present is the victim of the Office of Victim Services. Please state your name and inmate number for the records.
Joseph Miessau, 255-635.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Joseph Miessau, inmate number 255-635. He is serving a sentence of 2 years, 1 day, followed by 2 years special parole for assault second. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of May 2nd, 2025. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program on September 17, 2024. He is also currently participating in the Tier 4 program with an estimated completion date of July 17, 2025. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within a very high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Miessau, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
First of all, good morning. Since I've been in prison, I haven't sat stagnant at all. Since I've been inside the county jail, I've worked because they didn't provide any AA or NA because of the COVID situation. Since then, I've been transferred here. Since I've been transferred here, I've immediately inquired upon my domestic violence class, which I have participated in and successfully completed since I've been here. I've also took a volunteer position here to check myself into the Tier 4 program, which I am a participant as of right now. I'm still in phase 1. I also participate in NA and AA meetings. Upon my discharge, I do have a plan. I have a job lined up for myself. I also would like to enroll myself in the self-supporting systems with the AA and NA system. I'm going to utilize that. I would like to be integrated with my children. I realized, and I took the time to, get myself together and think about what is actually important to me. I took the time to realize that my actions, whether direct or indirect, had something to immediately do with this case, and I don't want to come to prison anymore. I am tired of this. I realized that I needed to grow up, and nothing changed if nothing changed. So I decided to take this time to change my thought process, my thinking, to find the real meaning of integrity, to doing the right thing even when nobody else is looking. It's time to grow up and to leave this childhood stuff behind me. I'm very nervous. I'm sorry. I've never had one of these meetings before, so please forgive me. I realize that my past is very ugly, and I can't let my past to define myself today, because when I do, I hold myself down, and I hold myself thinking that nobody is going to give me a chance and nobody is going to look at me the same. So I just hold myself to this low standard. And since I've been here, I decided that, I can't do that anymore. I need to look at myself in a higher light. I need to hold myself to a higher standard. And that's what I've been doing since I've been here.
Thank you, Mr. Miessau. We appreciate you providing us with some information about what you've been doing and your thinking over the last 2 years that you've been incarcerated now. We will ask you some questions. Following our questioning, the Office of Victim Services will read a statement, and then we will deliberate and give you our decision.
Okay, thank you.
Mid-panel member Turner will begin with questions this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So since you haven't been here before, I'm just going to explain to you that what we're doing today is trying to make a determination about whether it's appropriate for you to finish the 2 years and 1 day that you have to serve at 50%, or I'm sorry, 85%, out in the community on discretionary parole supervision before you begin your 2 years of special parole. And we have to make that decision in light of the interest of public safety. So, you know, the facts that we have are that you score up very high for your risk to reoffend, and that you've been given 9 opportunities at community release in the past, and you haven't been successful even once. And in your criminal history goes back to 1997, and it really does run the gamut of crimes. But the more recent ones look to be domestic violence in nature. So I'm glad that you took that program. I'm pleased to see that you got an excellent evaluation on all the categories that are scored. And so your eligibility date at 85% is in May. And your end of sentence, as you earn time off, will probably be at the end of June. So I want you to keep in mind that we're talking about a 2-month period before you begin special parole. Can you tell me, Mr. Miessau, when's the last time you participated in a drug treatment program out in the community?
Out in the community, I've participated in, it was a JRI bed in Lebanon Pines in 2016, which I successfully completed that.
Okay. Have you, you have a DOC drug score of 4, 5 being the highest possible. And I'm glad that you have the 4 because it got you into your 4.
Yes.
And you say you're in phase 1. How's it going so far?
Oh, it's been actually really good. I'm taking, you know, inventories of myself. I'm thinking a lot clearly now. I know what my triggers are, and I've been working on how to prevent those and thinking of coping skills and learning coping skills, so I don't go back into that anymore.
I think that's great. So what are your triggers?
You know, my father was a violent man, and, you know, I think that the violence kind of triggers me, being yelled at, being sometimes the fact that I find myself in positions as of like homelessness or, you know, getting turned down a lot. It kind of brings me back to like using. I feel like nobody would actually like give me a chance, you know, and I realize that that's not always the case. If I hold myself down and I think negatively, usually negative things would happen to you. You know, it's about what you put out into the universe, which is going to come back to you. And I believe that strongly.
I'm hearing some trauma.
Yes.
I hope you'll work on addressing that so you can resolve it.
Yes.
So do you feel like the experiences that you grew up around impacted your self-esteem?
Yes.
I heard that when you talked about the rejection. You mentioned that word, and it kind of goes hand in hand. The rejection reinforces your low sense of yourself, and that keeps you from doing good, being with positive people and turning things around. You referred to NA and AA as a system. I hadn't heard that before. It's a program. Have you ever participated in that out in the community?
I thought I can do it by myself prior to this, and it creates structure that I think that I very well need in my life, and a support system that I would need, in my life. And I think that pursuing that, even upon even discharge, would be a very, very good avenue for me to travel on. So I'm going to continue that when I get out.
You thinking you're, and I'm glad to hear that, you thinking you're dealing with your addiction issues by yourself, is that more about ego or more about low self-esteem that you don't think other people would be there for you?
I think it was a part of me feeling ashamed of, who I was and the background where I came from, and me being able to express that to people and being able to talk to people about that. I felt like people were shutting down upon me and stuff. But, during this program time now, I realized that, being open and honest and reaching out for, help when I need it is not a bad thing. It's something that I needed to really learn about myself.
Yeah, because addiction thrives in isolation and denial.
Yes. Addiction definitely thrives in isolation and denial, yes.
And you're worthy of a recovery community. Nobody needs to do this on their own. That's why these networks of people living in recovery exist. You don't have to go it alone. So why don't you share with me what you got out of the domestic violence program that's going to help you?
Well, I've also not only learned that, first of all, it's wrong. Second of all, I've learned all sorts of different types of abuse besides just physical. There's mental and like financial abuse and other avenues of abuse and stuff. And what actually, would be a good way of diverting from, like, say, getting into an argument, or like take a walk, or, take the time out to think before I act instead of just acting on impulse. And, meditations and stuff like that have helped me get it centered with myself and stuff, and how to, control my actions and my reactions and things. So that is very important when it comes to that. And, especially the type of people that I involve myself in, and especially being in addiction and stuff like that, feeling like I needed to be say codependent, and instead of being that way, and feeling that way and stuff, because that can cause a lot of issues in a relationship. If person don't want to let one person leave, or say, for instance, an argument's ensued, like somebody wants to go hang out with somebody that I feel like shouldn't be approved of. It's not about that. It's about, letting people live their life and having their joy in their lives, regardless of what, I can't be controlling. I can only control my own actions, and
have you been controlling in relationships in the past?
Yes. I think that it was definitely something that I've tried to do, and realized now that, I can only control my own actions. There's no one, else that I can control their actions or how their feelings or anything. And I can't force anybody to be accepting or loving if they're not, and I have separation issues and stuff like that, because, not for nothing, I can't blame it on anybody else but myself. But, my father being in and out of my life, being abusive, me, and people coming in and leaving and stuff like that. So I have this separation issue, where I don't like when people are going to just leave or something. So I try to do what I can to get them to stay and stuff like that. And that's part of being controlling, which it's not good.
Yeah. Pulling out all the tricks in the bag, from, being loving to being insulted, right? you were working with tremendous insight. And that's going to be so key to you doing things differently in your life going forward. When I hear you talk about insecurity, separation, I hear insecurity, that fear of being abandoned. And that is often at the root of abusive behaviors in a relationship. And then you end up with a hostage situation because the person's with you not because they want to be with you, but because it's scarier to try to leave you.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
This assault second, do you admit that you were physically harming this person?
I definitely admit that there are times in our relationship that things did get either physical or argumentative, very much so. And, you know, I realized that whether directly or indirectly, the result of this action is my own, and I own up to that. And I definitely been taking a very, very reflective look at myself and my actions and in participation with this. And I'm very disappointed in myself for acting that way. And I feel very much remorseful because I really, really did love that person. And I can't, say that I don't, it was very hard for me to, swallow this pill, as per se, and to look at it and not just my standpoint of view, but from hers. And, this is why I accepted what was given to me. And I took it on the chin, and I realized that, standing up and taking responsibility for any action that I've done is going to be very important from this point forward.
Yeah, it's critical to the change. You got to own it, and you got to examine it. But ultimately, you'll need to forgive yourself so that you can move on. Don't use it as an excuse to continue to be down on yourself. You have some real strong insights that you're working with that help you understand why you were doing what you were doing at the time, between the emotional stuff and the substance abuse. So I'm really happy that you're in the Tier 4 program. I hope you will give it your all. It covers so many aspects of other programming that DOC offers. It really is the premier program. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I will be voting for you to go out early to discretionary parole, because I want to see you finish Tier 4. You'll almost finish it when you become end of sentence and go out to special parole. And I think it's exactly what you need, and I wish you much success, sir. Thank you for talking with me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one of my questions is your unstable work history. How much of that do you attribute to the drugs and alcohol issue?
Actually, a lot. During my addiction, I would work and then be out of work and stuff like that. And because sometimes I would wake up hungover or something like that and wouldn't make it to work, or make some excuse with the boss that I don't feel well, or, so this is why it's very important that I work on my, my alcoholism and stuff like that. It has to stop. I have a person out there who kind of adopted me into his family and stuff, and he just wanted nothing but the best for me. And he helps me out every time, whether it be with work on the side or running his store and stuff like that. And he just wants me, like I want myself, obviously, to be productive and be good and stay out of trouble and do the right thing. And so I'm doing this mainly for me, but also for you know, him and other people and that I've heard and stuff like that too, because I want them to show them too that my past doesn't define me, who I am. I am a better person than that. And, you know, I know that, and I start to see that in myself now. And I'm going to hold to that, you know, because I am a lot better than what is put down on paper, what people see me as, you know.
So I found it encouraging that there are references, and you mentioned a couple of them earlier, where you had sought help. We do have a lot of reports, so we don't have to go into medical histories or summaries. So we understand what some of the challenges have been. And you have referenced in some of your earlier comments that you're going to continue to pursue treatment when you're back in the community. And I just wanted to put that on the record, that I think that that's a very important component of moving forward for you.
Yes.
Thank you. I do not have any additional questions as well. So we will now hear from the Office of Victim Services, Ms. Hamlet Williams.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, panel. I do have a statement from the victim, and it reads, "To whom it may concern, I'm the victim of Joseph Miessau. He changed my life around, and I can no longer work. I got approved for disability about 4 months ago. I have to have someone take care of me. I can never live alone again. I'm always living in constant fear that he will hurt me again. He took so much from me that I can't get back. I have to walk with an assist, my foot cut up. I'm 33 years old, and I have to ask for help with daily life and living, with the things that I used to do on my own. My family is scared too. They don't trust him. He can't be trusted out in the community. He will just do this to the next woman he comes across. I have to see so many doctors every week because of him. I have PT and OT every week. I don't live a normal life like everyone else. I have to wait for help to arrive. I'm scared for when he comes out into the community. I just want to feel safe. My life will never be the same again. He took that. He has no remorse for what he does. He just keeps doing it. I stay in my house. I'm so scared to leave that all of my programs have to come to me. This has messed me up so bad, mentally, physically, emotionally, that I'm afraid I'm going to end up in the mental institution. He can't touch me in there. The fear is the worst feeling. I'm living in that every day for what he did. Thanks for listening. Victim.
Thank you for that. All right. We will now deliberate about the case. Ms. Charter.
That's quite a powerful statement from the victim. Pretty strong description of the impact on her life, and we definitely appreciate her wanting her voice to be heard in this process. So as I laid out before, Mr. Miessau's score is very high. He's never been successful in community supervision, and I think that's what got him the period of special parole as part of this sentence. I'm hearing more acceptance from him than when he was interviewed by the parole officer, especially given the fact that there were several witnesses who saw the assault when it happened. I think the best news possible is that he's currently in the Tier 4 program, and given that his last engagement in treatment was nearly 10 years ago, I think it's critical that he continue on in the Tier 4 program, develop a solid relapse prevention plan, find ways to connect with the recovery community, CCAR and AA and NA when he does go out to special patrol. So we're talking, as I said earlier, about a 2-month difference between his 85 and his end of sentence. And I think it's best spent in facility and tier 4 program. So my job is to do
Example, yeah, I agree as well. You know, there's a long criminal history that includes a lot of violent offenses. He does score very high for risk to recidivate. Although I do agree, as Ms. Turner was asking her questions, there is some elements of offender change, some recognition of what he needs to change in order to remain successful in the community and have better relationships. I think that, as I said, Tier 4 program is, well, I think it's really monumental in terms of success in the community. It'd be so important for him to have that going out because he has such little support. And he has not done well on community supervision. So I am also a denial for today. And then we also need to set special parole conditions. So
Madam Chair, I just want to add, in the event that the victim is listening to this, that, you know, the sentence of special parole does provide a higher level of accountability and oversight when he is back in the community. And the parole officer will be aware of his history, this incident, and the victim's concerns. So hopefully that will be of help in the healing process.
yeah, alleviate some of the fears. And have someone to reach out to. And well, let's start with reasons for denial.
Criminal history, nature and circumstance. And
Injury impact to the victim.
yeah.
Anything else?
I would choose toward inadequate program completion as opposed to participation, if you're agreeable to that.
I am agreeable to that. And then we also, as we said earlier, need to set special parole conditions. No alcohol, halfway house, community-based treatment for domestic violence, no contact with TK. He's on the fence about this.
I actually did have a mental health evaluation and treatment.
Okay. Anything else that you think would be helpful for his success?
To the ones I have.
Okay. Sally, Sassy, anything further? So in the matter of Joseph Miessau, 255635 is motion to deny parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstance of the current offense, criminal history, injury and impact to the victim, and inadequate institutional program completion. We further move to set the following special parole stipulations: no alcohol, halfway house placement as needed, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, community-based treatment for domestic violence, and no contact with the victim TK. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Okay. All right, Mr. Miessau, did you understood all that was just said?
So upon my discharge from the jail, I'm going to a halfway house, but it's not like a reach bed or something like that. What is the difference?
Well, we stipulate to a halfway house that's needed. If other arrangements can be made between now and your release date, you can work that out with parole or the counselor there. But we don't want you to come out with nothing,
Thank you.
right? So a halfway house is important, okay? And it is 2 months from your parole date to your end sentence date. So really, I think, as Ms. Turner has mentioned, you know, completing the Tier 4 program, especially since you haven't done the program since 2016, I think will connect you with good resources. I think we all think that. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
This concludes the hearing for Joseph Miessau, inmate number 255635. You're all set, Mr. Miessau.
Thank you.
I'm not sure, but I believe this might be the last hearing, but we'll find out right now. I only saw 3 names today on the hearing for Connecticut. I also checked the one for Utah. Utah only had 2 names on there. I checked it at 7. Normally they start sharp at 7, but nothing came on. So I'm not sure if they're starting late or if they if they were even going to take place. Anyhow, if this is
The
the last,
time is now 11:07, and the hearing for January 13th, 2025 is come to an end. Thank you.
all right. So right now today, since there isn't any board hearings, I'm actually running. I'm doing a court hearings from Baxter County, which would be Judge Boyd. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with her, but she's pretty popular on YouTube and TikTok and whatnot. Anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this stream, and it'll pop up the court hearings, if you will. Like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it lights out. And with that, we are out of here.